You have to understand that most fights are probably going to end up in some form of grappling, which means that in turn, you're probably going to end up on the ground. Now, there's a few different variations of how people like to control somebody once they hit the ground. Some people prefer side control, some people prefer knee on belly, others like to go to mount, that type of thing. For me, the two dominant positions is a bit of side control and knee on belly. Those are the two common ones that a lot of people tend to resort to. So today, let's kind of compare the difference between, are you better off working side control or are we better off working knee on belly? Let's get to it. So you have to understand, when you're in these situations, we fall onto the ground, whether we take the person down, they take us down, you end up on the ground in some way, shape, or form. A lot of people tend to resort to just come into some form of side control, whether or not they get the cross phase, they have their arm over the top, they have both arms over, they're working some form of body lock where their arms are locked underneath and they're just squeezing on. They can have the legs completely spread out, they can have their knees super close, they can have the legs on here. So there's a lot of different variations, and again, that kind of just depends on, one, your experience, but two, just the circumstances going on. Now, for me personally, especially when it comes to like jiu-jitsu, I love side control. I find it an extremely dominant position, especially if you know how to control the person from here, you know how to attack from here. You also have an understanding of how this person is going to react, which means in turn, I know how to move properly and I can start setting up different attacks. So in my opinion, a side control is an extremely dominant position from a jiu-jitsu perspective. When it comes to the street perspective, there are some restrictions that side control does not allow you to do. Now, in my opinion, if you are in some form of side control, I highly recommend that you do get some form of crossface going here. If it's, a situation where they have a lot of clothing that I can grab onto, then I'm going to grab onto the collar, I may grab onto the hood, I can grab onto their sleeves, and just that way it makes it a little bit hard for this person to be able to kind of move my arm freely from here. But when you are in this position, even if they don't have anything to grab onto, a lot of times I will work my hand over and kind of grab the inside of their armpit a little bit. And basically, I'm trying to make this as tight as possible around their head. I can start driving my shoulder into their face a little bit. And all I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to create a lot of pressure where this person wants nothing to do with turning into me. Because if I have no pressure here, if I'm kind of just hanging out, this person and a good fighter is going to start working in. They're going to start working their framing. They may start coming up and taking you down. They can work a single leg. And basically, I'm giving them an opportunity to recompose and come back into me. When I create this pressure, the more that he turns into me, it's really just putting a lot of pressure on this person's face and their head, and it makes it extremely difficult for them to turn over. Again, I can do it with two hands locking on nice and tight and just squeezing the shoulder pressure, but I can also do it with one hand, which then in turn allows me to start working with my other hand. I can post on their hips a little bit. I can start scooting my hips up here, getting real nice and high, and just making it extremely uncomfortable for this person to turn into me. And again, I'm now forcing him to, pretty much his only option is to turn away. And as he goes to turn away, now I can kind of come up and I can start working back takes, or I can get into a mountain position, or that's where you start setting up your different attacks. So that's kind of where I like to set up my pressure in regards to up here on the head. Now, the limitations that side control has when it comes to street fighting is this. If you are not aware of the whole person's body, especially if I don't have control of this backhand, if he has some form of weapon here, I have no way of seeing it per se. I could be extremely tight up here, and he may have a hand that's reaching down here, reaching for his waistband. He may be pulling out a gun. He may be pulling out a knife. And as I'm up here doing pressure, thinking that he's just trying to, get some sort of framing, he's actually reaching for a weapon, and now he's attacking me. But the same thing can go with this hand. I may be over the top of this hand, or even if I'm under the hand here, he can still reach, and if I don't pay attention because I'm focused on squeezing up here, again, he has the opportunity to reach for a weapon. So there are limitations in what I'm visibly allowed to see. Now again, with jiu-jitsu, it's one-on-one. I don't have to worry about anyone else coming in. When it comes to a street situation, if I'm sitting here fighting this person and one of his buddies decides to come up from behind or from the side, it's very unlikely that I'm going to be able to see this person coming, because again, I'm down here, I'm trying to protect my face, he's going to be pushing my face away, trying to frame up, and I'm going to be fighting that, and as I'm focused on this, I'm not seeing what's going on around me in my surroundings. So again, this position limits you in your ability to see things that are coming, as well as see what he's necessarily doing. Now, if I can get control of his arms, which if you are playing side control, you should be able to dominate the position all around. It should be one where if I feel like his hand's starting to slide under my hip, I should be able to, get my knee under, pull his arm up a little bit, and work back into this position and come right back here. And now I have his arm trapped. I can work his arm across his body, or I can simply have it trapped up here above my hip so that he can't use that arm at all. And now I just have to worry about the one arm here. If he starts reaching for something, I can start setting up different attacks while also controlling here. So you do have options to be able to control both arms, but again, you're very limited. It's also a lot harder for you to move out of this position. If he bumps real fast and puts a lot of pressure, I don't have as easy of a time reacting off of this to the point where he may get a knee in here, and as I try and recover that position, he's now framing and working to a different guard, and now we're in a completely different situation where I'm less dominant. So as dominant as side control is in some aspects, when it comes to the street, it's a very hard position to control if you are not able to stay aware of everything that's going on, and if you're not consciously attacking their arms and the pressure on the head to make sure that they're not moving. So in my opinion, when it comes to the street, I would prefer working towards a knee on belly type situation, but you can usually start with that from side control. So again, you're gonna land, you're gonna end up here in side control, and as I'm applying this pressure, I'm gonna take my back knee and start working to a knee on belly position. So I slide the one knee across the top of the abdomen, and now I'm gonna post out here on the other foot. From here, now I can come up here and I can start working a more dominant position. So again, from a street situation, yes, I'm not necessarily looking to set up attacks. I understand for jiu-jitsu that this is kind of a temporary position. Some guys will start working attacks, or they're gonna start attacking based off how they react. But from a street situation, this fixes a lot of the holes that side control has. First of all, I can see everything that's going on now. I can actively turn my head, I can turn my body without an issue. I can switch my feet very quickly in case something's coming up behind me. I'm able to switch and react accordingly. If I need to, I can easily just stand up and pop back up to my feet. If he starts turning back into me, I can easily switch to the other side if I need to. I can also, as he turns into me, I can simply step over and work into a back position. And now we can start working different attacks from the back. So the knee on belly allows you to move in and around your partner, or not your partner, but your attacker a lot easier. It also allows you to recover a lot faster. Now, the nice part when it comes to the knee on belly is, one, if he does have something in his waistband, he's never going to be able to get it now because my leg's in the way. And it's going to be very difficult for him to be able to reach underneath my leg. So if for whatever reason we're here and I'm attacking or doing something here and he's trying to reach for his weapon, it's going to be extremely difficult for him to be able to get that out because of the pressure of my leg. Even if I have my other leg here, I'm blocking him, or I can switch here and now I can access his weapons or put control on his weapons so that he's not able to reach those. So it allows me the opportunity to disarm him or control the weapons if it comes to that type of situation. The best way to control this is, again, I still have to apply some sort of pressure. Side control, it's a given that when you're in this position, I'm applying pressure with my shoulder, I'm squeezing and applying pressure. I can come off my hips and knees and apply pressure that way. With the knee on belly, it's a little bit different on how you have to sit up. Because simply just me sitting here like this, even though he feels the pressure here, I need to make sure that I'm driving that knee down into him so that he's feeling the full pressure on the abdomen and the diaphragm. Makes it a little bit difficult for him to breathe, which means that he's less willing to try and work to attack me, and he's more trying to figure out just how to get out of this position, which again opens up the door for me to start working to a more dominant position. Again, if he's feeling that pressure and he decides to try and get out of it this way, I can use that as an opportunity again to get around and take the back, so it works in my favor in that sense. Now, I can also put a knee directly down on the chest. And again, same idea, post the foot out here, not too close, no matter what position you're in. I can't have this back leg close enough that he's able to grab onto it because I'm putting myself at risk. So the leg stays out a little bit. And again, I can switch my knee between the chest and the abdomen, or the chest and the stomach. And again, I can easily switch the knees however I need to. And again, both of these allow you to move in and around the body very easily. Now, if you want to apply a little bit more pressure, especially if you're trying to control this person, I can pull up on the head a little bit. I can push down on the hips a little bit. If they're wearing, the shorts, whatever they're wearing, I can pull up on the pants and pull up on the head and put a lot of pressure. And you can tell you that this guy's hating this right now, but that's just the reality of it, is I can put a lot of pressure on this person to get them to stop whatever it is that they're doing. At the same time, I can easily pin the arms from here. If he starts trying to reach with one hand, I can pin with one leg and pin the other leg here. And now I can start working, so kind of you're in a partial mount, partial knee on belly position, but I'm dominating the ability for him to use his arm, and I'm dominating his abdomen. So really, I only have to focus on one hand at this point, which again, is very easy. So the knee on belly allows me to transition to all these different positions with ease, while also maintaining pressure. So understand, whether you pick side control or knee on belly as your dominant position, there has to be a constant force of pressure on this person if you're gonna be able to maintain it. He's going to want to get out as much as possible. He's going to want to attack back as much as possible. So if he feels that pressure come off, he's going to start moving. If that's the case, you have to understand that you lost the pressure, and you need to use that as an opportunity to get yourself to a better position. Otherwise, trade pressure with pressure. So again, if I'm in this position and I want to switch pressure, before I just take this knee off, I transition my other knee, and now I post that knee. So the pressure stays constant the whole time. He never feels a shift in it, even though I changed the area that it's on, but he still feels pressure nonetheless. Now, lastly, if you are in knee on belly, one thing that you can also do, especially in these types of situations, because it still is good to control the head, so I can easily post down with the head, with my hand on his face, and keep him from moving a little bit, because now as I'm doing this,
it's even harder for him to try and move his body because not only am I controlling his hips, I'm also controlling the head at this point. I can also use my forearm. And again, you can start isolating arms from this position. If you need to get to a cuffing position, you can. So there's a lot of opportunities that present themselves from this type of position. So in my opinion, both positions are good in their own way. Out of the two, I would prefer that if you end up on the ground that you work to some form of knee on belly type position. Side control is great. Again, you can apply a lot of pressure. You can still dominate positions from there, but you are at risk of not being able to see your surroundings. You're at risk of not technically being able to control that person 100%, especially their hands. Knee on belly, it allows you to see your entire attacker as well as your surroundings. You can move a little bit faster, you can pop back up to your feet and create the distance faster, and it just presents itself a little bit more opportunities than side control does as a whole. So play around with both of those. Let us know what your thoughts are on them. Let us know which one you prefer over the other. Drop it in the comments. We'll see you next time.